Hi there, this is Kenneth B, and you're watching Blue Collar Guy. So today we're doing a review, and the review today is the Sony ZV-E10. Let's get the box. So unlike a lot of reviews, you are going to be looking at the actual footage from the camera system itself. So I don't have the camera in my hand because I'm using it, because as a blue collar person, I don't have money for 5 or 6 cameras to be filming with. Now, having said that, I am going to be adding a playlist to the end of this video, so keep watching till the very end, because I'm going to include all of the videos that I think will be pertinent to my audience, and I think that they'll be very helpful. So I've organized them and I've arranged them, and I've already seen all of them, and there are lots of reviews, by the way, of this camera. But there are no blue collar reviews of this camera. This is the only one. So what is the difference between a blue collar review and a non-blue collar review is that I am going to be approaching it, is this camera budget friendly and economical for the average person to be using for, let's say, YouTube or vlogging, or just a camera in general? Is it worth the money? Is it a good bang for the buck? And the conclusion that I've come up with in short is yes, and I will explain why. So doing YouTube as a for Blue Collar Guy, which is a channel that I've been building, and I do review products, and I do lifestyle products in relation to the, how to live a good life as a blue collar person, which is my slogan. In that, just because you have a regular job and you don't make a lot of money, do you have a right to be happy? And the answer, of course, is yes. And how do you get there? So if you want to know how to what to do as a blue collar person so that you can save money and enjoy life and be happy and not have all of this this debt hanging over you all the time, because that's usually what happens to people that are in the blue collars. They struggle from paycheck to paycheck. So if you're struggling from paycheck to paycheck, watch my videos and I will teach you real ways on how to save money. And it's not through extreme couponing or anything like that, but it's mainly just making key lifestyle changes so that you can have a little more spending money in your pocket. And what I go into this in when I talk about micro mobility and things like that. So I will be putting there'll be some end screens to this video, and it'll show you some other videos that I've made in regard to that. But you can also go to the channel itself and find the videos that you find the most interesting, of things that I've bought that I think are a good value for the money, and also may save you money from, let's say, going to the laundromat or having to deal with the frustration of going to a laundromat and half the machines are broken. Because as a blue collar person, I understand that when you get those days off, you want to relax. You don't want to be frustrated, and your time is very valuable, very critical, and it's very important to you. So I understand what is important to the average person who is in that position where they are struggling from paycheck to paycheck, paying bills, and trying to find ways to maybe either make their existing income go farther, or maybe adding additional ways to make money. And when I did a thing on blue collar artwork, that was an additional way of making money, is find a hobby that you like and see if you can monetize it in some way. And that, to me, is, you know, you're not going to make a fortune doing this, of course, but you may make a few $100s every now and then. And to someone like us, that's pretty good. So, you know, if you know how to sew, or if you know how to do leather work, if you know how to paint, if you're crafty, if you can do woodwork, these are all things these are all skills that a lot of people already possess that are in the blue collar industry, and yet they don't monetize them. So, you know, I'm trying to find ways from not only myself, but to pass it on to you so that you can help yourself and not struggle so much. Because I feel for your situation. I've been there. And but this particular review, getting back, you know, I've digressed. So getting back to this particular camera system, I know that people will be wanting to use it not only for possibly vlogging, or maybe you're thinking of having your own YouTube channel and you're not too sure, well, I don't want to get involved in a whole lot of money to do a professional setup. And that's exactly what this video is going to be a good influence for, is that if you're on a tight budget and you don't want to spend a fortune on camera, and it is so easy to spend a fortune on camera gear. It may start off as this price, and then you'll be adding things, and then adding things, and then adding things, and then adding things, and the next thing you know, hell, you're into you know, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 in gear, and you're like, well, what have I done? So to do a pro setup is very, very expensive. So what I've done is I've done what they call a prosumer setup, or a semi-professional setup. And there's a difference. So part of the differences will be, well, how you're editing your videos versus how you're filming your videos. And this particular camera that I've gotten, which is the ZV-E10, has its upsides and its downsides. And I've got clips that I'll be playing during this video to show you some of the frustrations that I encountered. One of the frustrations that I encountered was getting the app to work on my phone, because it wasn't able to transfer the pictures or the photos, that sort of thing, through the Sony imaging app. Recently, though, I got an update on my phone, because they have a thing called send reports. So it took a few days, and my phone did an update, and now I'm able to get the images and videos downloaded to my phone without having to put them first up on Google Drive and then back downloading them that way, which was very time consuming, and also extremely frustrating when you're just trying to get things done. So there are fixes, just so that you know. You may have to be patient and wait a few days, but other than that, you're good. The other frustration thing that I was encountering was that when you're filming in 4K, which is what I'm doing now, the camera would overheat in 20 minutes and it would just shut off and not give you any warning or anything like that. And I thought, well, this is no good. I need this thing to film constantly. I don't need these type of interruptions. I know that it's not a high-level camera, but at the same time, I just need it to work, you know. And as a blue-collar person, isn't that what we just want? We want to buy stuff and we need it to work. So you do have to go into the settings on the camera, and you have to change a few things. And if you stay till the end of this video, I've linked those videos that solve all of those problems so that you can fix them. And this way you don't have to go and keep searching and searching and searching. So this will be, I promise you, the one-stop deal. You can watch this and then just keep watching, and the playlist will take you to the other videos. So no worries on that. I am not sponsored by Sony. I bought all this gear myself. And yes, I am currently monetized through YouTube, so full disclosure on that, but that's just through the ads that you're watching and that sort of thing. But as far as the rest of it goes, everything I've got in front of me is all stuff that I've bought. So I, like you, have been watching video after video after video of which camera to get. And it is kind of frustrating because this one says, well, it does this, and this one says it does this. And some of the videos, of course, are sponsored videos. And when you're watching a sponsored video, they're not necessarily going to trash a product. They're going to kind of hype it up a bit, and that's not the information that I would want for my audience. I want my audience to know the good, the bad, the ugly. This camera, Canadian, over $1,000. Comes with a kit lens. Will the kit lens work? Some say, well, you should switch to a different lens. These lenses are like $800-900. They're not cheap, okay? So that they're referring to. If you are holding the camera out in this manner, okay, and you're filming yourself while you're like vlogging on a vlogging stick, just get a vlogging stick that extends it a little bit further, because when you put the image stabilization on this camera, it does what they call a crop in, which is just a fancy way of saying it zooms in a bit, and there's nothing you can do to zoom it out. And it does that because it's trying to keep the image stable. It's part of the processing, the way they do the processing. Why it has to zoom in to do this, I don't know, but it crops in. And I think it has to do something about the edges around the picture. A lot of videos have the technical explanations for this. I do not. I am not a pro photographer with 20 years experience. I'm more like you I have a little bit of knowledge where I've read some books, of course. I've taken a few courses, but nothing to the extent of the true professionals who actually film for a living. I know more about audio, of course, than I do video because I am formally trained in that. Okay, so having said that, this camera has been referred to as the vlogging camera or the perfect camera. I don't think there's a such thing as a perfect camera. I think that you do the best you can. What I like about this camera is that Sony has done a good job in making their cameras, mirrorless cameras, good for video, because they know that people will be using them for video. So it has a separate button for video. It has separate settings for video. And I find that it's a little bit better set up than the Canon. Now, one thing that I will say about this camera, if I'm going to get what they call picky, is that there is a 10-bit versus 8-bit, okay? So when you get into the full frame cameras, which basically are cameras with a larger sensor, which means that there's better resolution, that just translates into a better screen. And you get what they call 10-bit resolution. So this is an 8-bit camera. So I don't know if the other ones have said this in their videos, but this is an 8-bit camera. Now, what does that mean? Okay, so that means that when you're doing color gradation, so let's say you film the sky, and you'll notice that on some phones and cameras you'll see that weird little banding effect, and it's because it doesn't have a lot of different shades. So it's kind of jumping from one shade to another shade to another shade, and when it does that, you get that banding effect. Now from a distance you don't even notice it, but if you were to zoom in or whatever, some photographers say that it doesn't look very professional because it looks more artificial. So once you get into the digital realm, everything that is in the digital realm is not real. So I know that statement just blew your mind. You're like, what did he just say? What do you mean everything is not real? Okay, so analog audio, from voice to tape to playback, is an exact representation of the person's voice through the magnetic process. So if you were to record someone through the old school tape method, on a magnetic tape, the world's smallest magnets, they call them domains, they go north, south, north, south. So your voice is translated into an electrical signal, which then can be played back. Now, in video, it was the same thing. It was a video representation of the image through, magnetic tape. And we've gone digital now. So digital use what they call a digital to analog converter. So you record a voice, a computer chip has to say, well, let's translate that into ones and zeros, and then when you play it back, it has to reconvert the ones and zeros back into the voice. And you say, well, I can't tell the difference. But the difference is that it's not your voice anymore. It is a digital representation of your voice. Courts, like legal courts, had to decide whether or not this was good enough, okay? So, because technically, it is not your voice. It is a representation of your voice. And that's why artificial intelligence and stuff like that can duplicate people's voices and make them talk, say different words, because it has all the information about you and your voice and the digital representation of that. Video is no different. So when you record something in digital video, it's also translating that into ones and zeros, and then when you play it back, it has to reconvert that back. So it is very important that the processors for all of this can handle all this information, because as you have more information, you have more ones and zeros, you have bigger files and that sort of thing. So without getting into too much of that, that is the kind of like the gist of it, so to speak. But this camera has what they call an 8-bit processor. So when it comes to things like shading or color gradation, you're not going to have as many as what they would say in 10. Now, my audience is blue collar worker. So you also need a TV set that can play back this 10-bit color gradation, and cheaper TVs don't play it back anyway, so you're not even going to see this. And that picture might also be good enough for you. I know it's good enough for me, okay? I find that it's just fine for me. But if you're super fussy about, hey, I can see this and I can pick this out and I kind of see that flaw, then yeah, you're going to say, well, I'd like to have a 10-bit camera. 10-bit camera is 3 times the money of the camera that I'm currently talking into. Yeah. So you're thinking, well, is it that important? Well, maybe not. So anyways, I do like this camera for the features that I find it has, and I also find that this camera is good enough for not only me, but probably good enough for most people doing YouTube and vlogging. And if you just want to take some nice pictures or film your children or do some filming at work, that sort of thing, because it does have a lot of pro features other than, the 8-bit, 10-bit thing. I'm sure they could have put that in there, but then how are they going to sell the other cameras, right? So these upgrades that you have to do, this is an extra, buy this camera, it has this, so they have to separate them somehow. But visually, you're not really going to notice that much of a difference. I have seen video from 8-bit and 10-bit, and we're talking very small differences in picture quality, in my opinion, okay? The real pros, I'm sure they look at it like, oh, that is absolutely horrible, I can't take that. Another problem that this particular camera has, apparently, is rolling shutter. So what is rolling shutter is if you're moving and you're filming things, it kind of looks like things are warping or bending. But just don't do that. You know, if you don't do that, then you're fine if you're not in that particular situation. I would probably use my GoPro when it comes to anything that is like action or fast movement anyway, because it can handle that. It might have a smaller sensor and the image might be a little bit different, but it is designed for that. Plus, who wants to break a camera like this or risk breaking it, because it is a lot more delicate than, let's say, a GoPro. Let's face it. I think that if you're doing inside and outside work for your YouTube and vlogging, you should have different types of camera systems. I recommend the GoPro for outside and action shots and that sort of thing. It's small, it's portable, it's easy to handle. You can move it around. Mine does 360 video, which is awesome. I recommend that one for sure. This particular one is good for what they call the talking head and certain other video situations where you're not going to be moving around so much. You could be outside, you could be doing certain things, but nothing where you're going to be having a lot of movement anyway. So you're not going to be really worrying about the rolling shutter. So you have to be realistic about what you're going to be doing with your camera. So anyways, I do like the camera. I don't like the fact that, yes, it does overheat in 4K mode. You can fix that. Again, I've included a video on how to get to that. I could explain it, but I don't think I would explain it as good. And I know my limitations on that. So when it comes to the best explanations, but I do know the people that can, and I'm going to include those on the playlist for sure. So the complete camera setup, and I've kind of filmed it, is, you know, you're looking in around the $2,000 mark by the time you're done getting the field monitor and the different audio and the, you know, the lighting. You're going to need to get some different types of lighting, because if you, without proper lighting, you're going to have, like I had in my one video called Blue Collar Artwork, you'll see my face is all red because of the shears were red, and it was letting in, it was basically acting like a red filter. And I didn't even notice right away until after it was already uploaded, and I just left it there because I thought, well, you know what, it's a learning experience for me, therefore it could be a learning experience for you. The other thing too is that I do have a Canon camera, and I have all kinds of lenses for that camera, and I can get an adapter where I can put those lenses on this camera. The only disadvantage to that is the focusing. So the autofocus will not be as fast as this particular camera. Now here is a clip of us driving down the highway.
It's got stabilization. It's more for, you know, what do they call it? Talking head videos. You know, it's designed for more like in-studio type stuff.
Okay, so that was a clip of us going down the highway and how the image stabilization acts on the camera. Now, here's a clip in high wind with the camera doesn't have the dead cat muff on it. but I do have the wind noise activated inside the camera, like the digital wind noise filter. So this is what that sounds like. This is the microphone that's built into the camera. So listen to this video. It's a little bit windy today. I forgot to put the windscreen on, so I might have to do a voiceover. But this is St. Eustache Flea Market in Montreal, Quebec. As you can see, it goes on for quite a bit. There's an inside part of the flea market and an outside part of the flea market. Okay, so now that that one is played, now there is a video that I've done where I put the resolution in 1080p. Now this video I'm shooting right now is in 4K mode, and it's probably going to be scaled somewhere in around the 2.7K. So tell me in the comments if you see any differences between the video quality of the 1080p and the 4K, which is basically upconverted into 1080p. So tell me if you see any differences there. And here's the video for the 1080p video. Okay, we're back. And so this part of the video is being shot in 1080p. And I'm shooting it in 1080p because I wanted you to see the difference between this and the 4K. Now I've noticed that when I'm shooting it in 1080p that the screen on my monitor looks a little bit different. I'm actually seeing exactly, well, almost exactly what I would see on the back of the camera, and it's also a little bit smaller. I wanted to see if the camera overheats in this setting, and that would be, you know, a way to test it out, of course. I don't believe that it will. Any camera system that is set up for 4K is going to obviously run a lot hotter because the processor has to run a lot faster. So will this camera overheat in 1080p? I doubt it. I do think that the video quality is going to be interesting because we will see just how much worse the video quality is when it is compressed from 4K into 1080p or just left in 1080p and uploaded into 1080p. Can you see the difference? Okay, so now I'm going to show you a video of, we were at the Canadian Tire, and this is a cloudy day, and the reason why I wanted to film on a cloudy day was because it's not perfect. You know, a lot of these camera reviews that I see, you know, everything is perfect. The lighting's perfect, the outside is perfect, the sun is shining, da 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 da. So realistically though, the weather changes, the sun changes, you get clouds. So this is a video footage that I've taken of, we were at the Canadian Tire, and some guy had parked a Lamborghini at the Canadian Tire. I don't know why a guy with a Lamborghini needs to go to Canadian Tire, but apparently he does. It was a fire engine red Lamborghini, and it was brand new. Apparently the paper was still on the floor. So if you're the guy that owns a Lamborghini, here's a video of your car. And I kind of made a joke about my friend owning the car, but you might get a laugh about that. But anyways, here is a video of the color representation. So fire engine red Lamborghini. Tell me if it looks just as good as what you believe to be fire engine red. So here's a clip of that video. Hi, Kenneth B, blue collar guy. My friend Babs just bought a new car, and he wanted to show it to me. No, just kidding. Blue collar guys don't own Lamborghinis. But anyways, really nice car. Looks like it's brand new too. Just doing a review of it.
Yeah, it's way too low for me.
Yeah, super low car, eh? Okay, so those are the clips of the videos. They were all done with this camera. What I'm filming this is with this camera. Unlike some of the other videos where they show you this camera, but they're filming it with a completely different camera, like a Canon R6 or a Sony A7 III. I don't know all of Sony's models, but they're higher end full frame cameras. So some guys have 6, 7, 8 cameras, but as a blue collar person, I don't have money for all those cameras. So I pretty much am going to be shooting with the camera that I get. So anyways, I showed you what the rig looks like in that other video, and how I've put in the, how I've basically hooked it all up. So this is the camera setup that I have. I'm recording it from my Google Pixel phone in 4K. And I just wanted to go over a different setup because I can't obviously film the camera with the camera for this particular video. So these are the lights, the Ulanzi battery operated lights. This is the rechargeable RGB light, which if I can kind of, oh, there we go. There. So that one changes different colors. The other ones are just normal, but this is just to keep your face from looking too red or too green or too whatever. And I'll shut that one off. This one here is the field monitor, and I'm powering that one up. It is the Field World T7 monitor, and when it is in 4K setup, then it will display the video in a different screen format than what it does in 1080p mode. So very good monitor, like it, and as you can see, I'm doing the filming on the recording on the recording. Then I just have the headphones for the monitor the level on the audio. If you look over here on the T7 monitor, you will see that if I switch on the microphone, kind of got my hands full here. There we go. So now you can hear my voice through the lavalier mic, which is clipped there, but normally clipped to me. Very simple setup. And of course I can plug in a USB cable to keep power going to the camera as well. And that this is the small rig setup. So this isn't a part of the camera. It's if you look here, you'll see that it'll say small rig on the unit itself. And we can go from there. Oh, sorry, a little bit out of focus. So you bolt this on to the bottom of the camera using another with the camera quarter inch 20 thread. This here is a quick release that I bought, and it is made by Ulanzi. Very nice quick release. You just pinch in both sides, camera pops right back off. I recommend that too. So quite the setup, I realize, but this is probably the cheapest, I guess, semi-professional setup. You can't really call it a pro setup because of the camera itself, but I would say you're getting into the more pro settings when you're doing that. There is the microphone setup here. This is your micro HDMI setup, and that would be your USB in there as well. And you can also use that to transfer data. This little tiny jack at the bottom is also a headphone jack, so I could plug my headphones right from there out. But instead, I plug them into the field monitor. Okay, so, and if you look at the Ulanzi rechargeable light, I can actually recharge it while I use it. So the camera itself, you know, would I recommend it? Yeah, but have a few extra dollars for some accessories like the small rig handle accessory. I've got a wooden handle accessory put on the front of it just so that I can grip it a little better, because the grip that comes with it is a little too shallow, and I kind of find that strange because, you know, you've got all these accessories to build out the handle. It's almost like that was done by design. You know, like, hey, we're going to make this shallow on purpose so that you can spend another 50 bucks on another accessory kind of thing, you know. So I hope Sony didn't do that. So if you did, shame on you. But, you know, if this was just an accident and you thought that that would have been a good design, then, yeah, hey. But who knows, right? So anyways, the kit lens is fine. You know, a lot of guys have done filming with the kit lens. Of course, there's more expensive lenses out there. I know about lenses, and I know that glass can make your videos look a lot nicer. But when you're first getting started, can you make this one work? And the answer is 100% yes. The battery in this camera lasts roughly about 80 minutes. I find, as some people have claimed, it gets over 100 minutes. But you can hook a USB power bank up to the camera and get extended video time that way. So, but that's my conclusion of this camera. I would recommend it, and I think that it's going to work out for me. It has been frustrating with all of the things I don't like about it, like the overheating and getting that app to work. But patience is a virtue. So if you don't have a lot of money, that's where the patience come into play. You're going to have to mess around with this camera a bit to get it to finally, you know, do what you need it to do. It is going to frustrate you. You know, in my opinion, things should just work really good right out of the box. And this one did frustrate me. And the settings, by the way, are defaulted to 1080p, just so that you know, when you start shooting video, they've defaulted it to 1080p, and I believe they did that because of the overheating. So you know, but watch all that video on the overheating issue, because it's very interesting. And 4K, by the way, does take a lot of processing speed. Even on my GoPro gets really hot. So it doesn't shut off though. It doesn't kick off on me. It just gets hot, but it keeps running. This camera actually in standard mode will actually shut off on you. So, but that's the conclusion. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I want to thank all the other subscribers that have joined up with Blue Collar Guy. And as you can tell, we're slowly getting better at you know, the quality and the videos. I've going to keep working on that. So we're going to grow together. And if you're interested in starting a YouTube channel and you want to see someone who's really starting from scratch and started by using their phone to film things, and, you know, slowly got more and more gear to get better and better with very little training on the video end of it, then check out some of my other videos, because you'll see the difference between those videos and what we've done now. And that's actually a good comparison of what kind of videos you can get with a Google Pixel 4a phone versus a GoPro versus a camera. So you can just learn that by watching some of my other videos and really look at the image quality. Now, the image quality, of course, on things like GoPros and cameras, it also changes when you do the uploading to YouTube. So whenever you compress data, you can lose quality and get degradation. So you have to take all that into effect. So a lot of the videos that you do see in what we call the more professional type of videos, they're using a lot of really high-end gear, a lot of very good, powerful editing software. And even after all of the YouTube compression, it still looks good because they started with this. So whenever you're uploading to YouTube, this is one thing that I can give you this information, and I think this will probably be the aha moment for a lot of guys, is that you upload at this level of quality, and when it comes back to playing it back, it'll always be lower than that. So that's why they end up getting the more and more expensive gear, because then this quality goes up and up and up, and then they're like, okay, well, it's going to play back about here. So, but if you start here, that's when it starts to look like, okay, well, what is that? That looks terrible, right? So what I'm trying to do is say, well, how much money do you need to spend to get it up closer to the top without breaking the bank? And that is what I'm bringing to the table. So anyways, that's the conclusion of the video. Stay tuned and watch the other videos, and I certainly hope this helps. And for the people that made the videos that I'm recommending, thank you for making those videos. I am very grateful that you did those videos, because it helped me learn about the camera, and none of the information in any of the manuals that they had explained any of that. So that is the thing about YouTube, is it really helps you learn. So good to learn. All right, so take care, and I will see you at the next video. Blue Collar Guy out.